More states are making major moves to expand abortion rights, and with more Democrats poised to jump into the race for 2020, could we see an even bigger expansion of pro-abortion legislation? Here to break down what we can expect is President of the Susan B. Anthony list, Marjorie Dannenfelser. Thank you so much, Marjorie, for being with us.
Good morning.
Good morning. So what can we expect when we look at these Democratic candidates for 2020?
Well, everybody that you just listed up there, you can definitely expect that they are for the Democratic Party's position, which is abortion up until the point of birth is allowed. That's been what's in the public eye lately, and frankly, it's very helpful to know what their views are on this. Totally out of step with even pro-choice people who say that they don't want abortion even after the first trimester. So the Democratic Party has a real problem right now.
These are questions they'll definitely have to answer in the debate because it's been in the news so much lately, or in the mini debates.
Right.
But it might not be smart for them to take that position, because when you look at the recent Marist poll numbers, 75% of Americans say abortion should be limited to at least the first 3 months of pregnancy. So how is that going to fare for them, or will they walk that back a little?
Well, I think that number shows how wildly out of step they are with all Americans, even their base, like the pro-choice base. Again, they're over 60% reject this position. Democrats, per se, reject it too. They've got a big problem, and think where they need to do better, given the last presidential election. Think of Ohio, Minnesota, Wisconsin, those Democrat states where they need to pick up really the old-style Democrats, the ones that weren't extreme on abortion, those Reagan Democrat types. This is alienating, and frankly, it's alienating everyone. The only difference now is that people know more what their position is. It certainly hasn't changed. It's definitely not the party of safe, legal, and rare, or the party of the little guy anymore. Now they're debating whether to allow a child born alive to even be saved, or to leave it there on the table. It's very clarifying and an important moment to pay attention.
Marjorie, there's recently there's some states that have made the effort to expand abortion rights. California, Connecticut, Maine, Massachusetts, Maryland, New Mexico, New York, Rhode Island, Vermont, Virginia, and Washington. What does this say about our society? Remember when some of these candidates were talking about being socialists? Bernie Sanders probably launched that, and everyone was like, what? Does he even know what that means? And now so many more have said that. Are we going to see the same thing happen with abortion, where it's like, oh my gosh, you're able to get an abortion? You could walk into the hospital the day you're supposed to give birth and get an abortion, and then in a few months, are we all going to just be numb to this? If this agenda is allowed to move forward under the banner of these candidates, absolutely. That's the America that we're looking at. I think what we're seeing is a dramatic recoil of response in terms of not only the Democratic grassroots, but just regular old people who think this is an abomination. Look, if we get callous to this, then there's really not a lot left. And I really believe that the polls that you just mentioned, they really show a lot. This is actually going to, it'll be a contrast with President Trump when he's running. He's made it very clear that this is something that he doesn't find personally acceptable, just like most don't. And it really, again, is going to help him in areas where Democrats really feel like they're picking up in those presidential battleground states in the Midwest. Do you think does the country really know what's going on? Because you'll see, yesterday we did a story on the networks not covering this at all.
Yeah, I think, thank God we're talking about it here, but I think definitely so, because now they are being forced to have this discussion, to pay attention, and that is the clarity and the contrast is a real gift.
Marjorie, thank you for being on with us. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Some Democrats, we're going to talk about what their agenda is for 2020 more on this conversation. Thank you.